I'm Mr. Media. That's mrmedia.com. I'll talk to Eric Balfour, who co-stars as Duke Crockett on the crazy new sci-fi drama Haven. Stick around. So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview. You know, MrMedia.com. Brought to you today by Audible.com. Please take advantage of this great offer for Mr. Media radio listeners. Go to audiblepodcast.com/mrmedia to get a free audiobook download of your choice when you sign up today. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com/mrmedia for your free audiobook. Mr. Media is recorded live before a rapt audience of Gary Spivey lookalikes from the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida.
You ever heard of pyrokinesis? People starting fires with their mind?
She was my babysitter.
So, are you hot for teacher?
Babysitter?
Based on The Colorado Kid by Stephen King.
Disaster is coming. People are going to die.
Haven, an original series. All new this Friday at 10. Only on Sci-Fi. Imagine greater.
Have you watched Haven, the new season sensation on Sci-Fi? If you had asked me after the first 2 weeks if I thought the show had legs, my answer probably would have been no. Too much didn't make sense. Too many story elements seemed wobbly and aimless, and the relationship between the two stars at the very top, Emily Rose as FBI agent Audrey Parker and Lucas Bryant as police officer Nathan Warnos, seemed kind of flat. And why couldn't they figure out a better and more consistent use for Eric Balfour's Duke Crockett? And was everyone in town crazy or supernatural or what? Why wasn't the National Enquirer crawling all over this place in Maine? Well, like last year's outrageously wonderful new sci-fi series, Warehouse 13, it took Haven a few weeks of on-the-road tinkering to smooth out its ride and find its voice. Now you can watch an episode, and the writers seem to know that Audrey and Nathan make good co-workers, but they need other characters to breathe life into them. And Balfour is finally getting some media opportunities. The stories about the residents of Haven are insanely great. Halfway in, we have no idea where we'll wind up when our 60 minutes in town is over. Now, I'm eager to see what the writers have lined up for Balfour, once a star of HBO's 6 Feet Under, who I suspect will eventually cozy up to Rose, herself once an HBO star, on the too-short-lived John from Cincinnati. And at that, Eric Balfour, welcome to Mr. Media.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Delighted to have you. Enjoying the show a great deal. And I want to just skip right ahead, Eric. How long till the dramatic tension between your character and Emily's bring the show's ratings up from, say, PG-13 to a soft R?
I actually sent out an email to the writers about that a few weeks ago. I think I remember saying it ended something like, maybe we should put these two characters in bed together because it would emotionally blah, 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 and, well, we just need more sex and skin on the show. So I'm with you. I'm with you, buddy. But I don't know. I think everyone's going to have to just stay tuned in to find out. But my gut feeling is, these type of relationships, you want to let stew for a while and you want to let them build. And I don't know, in some ways, that the tension is really what keeps it alive. So once you sort of scratch that itch, I don't know that you can ever completely go back. So my gut tells me it's gonna be a while before we see that.
Yeah, but and I understand that. Certainly you don't want to go to that place so quickly. On the other hand, and I would say this if you were not on the air with me now, there needs to be more of you in there to keep building that tension. We don't see enough of you with her, and it's clear. I think it was clear, and no disrespect to Lucas Bryant, because maybe it was never meant to be anyway in the writer's head. That's not a relationship between the two of them. That's interplay between characters. But clearly, you and Emily have some real heat together.
Well, thank you very much. I think Lucas Bryant has a really tough job on the show. He's been asked to play a character that, by design, is very closed off, is very rigid in his boundaries, and so I gotta be honest. I commend Lucas because he does a great job of trying to breathe life into a character that most people would, you just want to, push him over a cliff. And he really does a great job of trying to keep him alive, so to speak. So I appreciate what you're saying, and I agree. Me and Emily have a really good time when we get to work together. And as the season goes on, you're going to start to see it more and more. Like any show, and you sort of said it in your introduction, it sometimes takes time to figure out what the core of the show is. And in some ways we were very blessed that we didn't have to do the traditional make a pilot, wait to see if it gets picked up. We got a series order straight out of the gate. So when we shot the first episode, which in most cases is the pilot, we were shooting episode 1 and learning as we went. There was no time in between the pilot and the series to retinker the show or figure out what worked, what didn't work. We were having to sort of do it on air every week while the show was being cut and edited and put onto the air. But we're all really excited by these last 3 episodes of the season, or I guess 4 episodes, are really starting to feel indicative of where the show could go and what the show could be. Except for maybe episode 12. I'm still arguing with them about my storyline in episode 12. It didn't make any sense to me, but 10, 11, and 13 are awesome. And actually, Emily's story in episode 12 is awesome too. I was just grumpy about my storyline because I didn't understand it. But it's coming along, and I'm really excited to see where the show goes in season 2 and season 3, because everybody from the top down is learning what makes this show work, and we're seeing it every week get better and better. So I'm excited to see where we end up.
Have you gotten any indication about a second season pickup officially yet?
We haven't gotten anything officially. We know that the producers of the show have already started talking to the network, and we know our ratings are really good, and we know that our show is, cheap to make, and we have all these great international partners. And so all signs point to the fact that we're going to, get to do a season 2 and maybe even a season 2 and 3 at the same time, possibly. But it looks, we're all sort of, we just wrapped the season finale and we all just headed home for a few months, and there was definitely a pretty clear sense that we all felt like this wasn't the end and we were all going to be back in a few months in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Which is either a blessing or a curse, depending on what time of year you go there.
I hear you. By the way, I wanted to add, we before we were talking about Lucas Bryan, who plays Nathan, and I meant no disrespect to him, but I have to say that, and again, with all due respect to him, I think you had the line of the season that gave his character, when at one point he's kind of flirting with can't remember the character's name from Montreal. And you say to him, this was great. I hope I got the line right because I couldn't quite find it. You say, "Does she know you're not a real boy?"
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was
that was very. Thank you. That was very indicative of where his character is coming from and where he's going. I mean, he has this, huge, affliction that has been unexplained, and actually in. The next couple episodes, it's really going to start to reveal itself, and the season finale, there's some really pretty amazing stuff that we learn about his character and his family.
Now, the underlying theme throughout the season has been these references to the Troubles. I keep wondering, Nathan's affected. We don't know exactly what's going on with Emily. Surely Duke is affected. He's going to evince some element of the Troubles, no?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay.
The writers have decided that they want to play this little game with us where they don't tell us anything. And we keep trying to explain to them and go, hey, guys, we're not really the characters. We can handle knowing the information, and as actors, pretend like we don't. That's sort of our jobs. But they're really gung-ho about keeping it a secret from us, too. So I honestly have no idea. I always try to get information out of them, and it's literally, it's like Fort Knox with them. You get nothing. So I don't know, man. It could be, we know that, they told me that, my character Duke has left Haven for a long time when he was younger. Where he went and why he went there, they won't tell me. But for some reason, he specifically came back. Besides just being, a sort of modern-day pirate and smuggler. Right. Which I guess if you're going to do that, why not do it in a town full of weird, freaky people?
I'm enjoying talking to you so much because I do go all the way back to the beginning of 6 Feet Under, and I can see why you get selected for certain roles. You bring a certain attitude, a certain presentation that I'm sure is just right for a role like Duke or and I can't remember the character's name on 6 Feet Under, but boy, do I remember you and Lauren Ambrose.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think I guess if I had to quantify what it is that maybe has given me some longevity as an actor so far, I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out myself, but, I never saw characters as being bad or innately villainous or as, purely altruistic either. Mm-hmm. I always found that humanity is three-dimensional. People are three-dimensional. They are good and bad. And a lot of the things that people do when they are bad are motivated out of goodness. They're motivated out of fear or not wanting to be perceived as bad. People don't lie because they enjoy it. People lie because they're afraid of someone knowing the truth and that it might either hurt them or that other person. So when I think I've been able to play these characters that walk the line between being quote unquote good and bad is because I think a lot of actors see a character and they go, oh, he's the bad guy. He's this. And I don't see them that way. I remember on 6 Feet Under, it was always very interesting to me. There was two types of people who would come up to me and talk about the character Gabe that I played. And it was always very interesting and declarative about who that person was, because some people would come up and say, oh, God, Gabe is such an asshole. What's wrong with him? He's such a bad guy. And then other people would walk up and go, hey, I feel so bad for Gabe. He's having such a hard time in life, and I can see that he wants to do the right thing, but he doesn't know how. And it was always very interesting to see that's how different people could see that character. Because, yeah, I guess the short answer would be, yeah, he does bad things and he's not a good guy. But people who looked a little further under the surface saw a much more troubled young man who really was lost.
And certainly,
and not just. Go ahead, please.
Well, I was going to say, certainly as we got to know him better over the weeks, he started off, and you really had to hate him at first, and then as time wore on, you're right. I mean, he became a more fully fleshed out character in the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think with Duke, that was always the key for me. Was in some ways we've talked about it with the writers and producers that he, in some ways, he's sort of a modern day Han Solo. On the surface, he's going to, lie, cheat, steal, and do whatever he has to do to protect his own interests. But at the core of him, he does have a good heart, and, sometimes that innate goodness inside of him doesn't allow him to do what may serve him best. But that's what he's trained himself to do in his life, to protect himself. He's trained himself to be selfish, but it's always fun when you see, it reminds me, not that I would ever compare because Jeremy Piven is just phenomenal, but that's what you love about Ari Gold, on Entourage. It's not that he's always a good guy. It's the moments when he lets down that guard and reveals that he really does love his wife and he really does care about his family, he really does care about his clients, and he's not just this foul-mouthed, jerk.
Right, and ironically, every time Ari lets down his defenses, and is a human being, usually trying to make up to his wife, he winds up bad things happen to him because that's just not the way things roll in his universe.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true.
Well, listen, you've been very generous with your time. Can I throw two more things at you and let you get out of here?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
First of all, this is sort of a question about both shows we've talked about. I'm wondering, and I guess it's too late for this season, but how about a guest appearance from Lauren Ambrose on Haven? I mean, she could realistically play your ex and see if it gets a rise out of Audrey.
That's probably the wrong person to ask, but I would say that Lauren Ambrose is one of the most amazing, talented women that I've ever worked with in this industry. And if I ever had any opportunity to share the screen with her again, I would jump at it in a heartbeat because she made me a better actor, hands down. I remember one day we were doing a scene and we were walking back from a rehearsal, and she just looked at me and said, when you just talk to me and you're just honest and you're talking to me, you're amazing. And she didn't have to say it, and it wasn't motivated by anything, but I remember it stuck with me, and I just always felt so safe doing scenes with her and really loved working with her. So in any capacity, I would love to work with Lauren again.
All right, well, let's get the word out to her. And then here's the last thing, and this is way off topic, but I did not realize that you had been in Frank Miller's Spirit movie.
Yeah, I did a little cameo in it. I originally met with Frank about playing the Spirit, and that idea was very quickly kiboshed by somebody. I didn't exactly. I don't look like what you would think of when you think of a sort of classic comic book hero in that regard, especially in that series, because there was this very sort of 1940s, iconic all-American looking hero. But Frank was kind enough and liked what I did enough that he wanted to put me in the movie in some capacity, and he said, "How would you like to come and play Eva Mendes' husband in a couple scenes?" It's a small part, but for me it was just exciting to get to be on the set and to see how that world works, and it was a great time. And it was just a fun little cameo. It took a couple days, and it was a really neat time.
Wow, I had to ask you about that. I actually wrote Will Eisner's authorized biography and spent 3 years with him, and so it just caught my eye.
Wow.
As I was wrapping things up. I thought, well, I got to bring that up. I got to know how that went.
Yeah. It was very cool.
Well, very good. Well, folks, listen, you can watch Haven, starring Eric Balfour, every Friday night at 10 p.m. only on Sci-Fi, and to catch up on what you missed in Season 1, or to enjoy the Troubles all over again, you can pre-order the full season DVD on MrMedia.com, or you can watch individual episodes on Sci-Fi.com. Eric Balfour, thanks so much for joining us on Mr. Media today.
My pleasure. You have a good day.
You too. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And, of course, for more original interviews with your favorite TV and film stars, surf over to our main site, MrMedia.com. And subscribe to Mr. Media on iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Just search Mr. Media Interviews from within iTunes and subscribe for free. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many locations. You can follow me on Facebook or on Twitter, twitter.com/Andelman, or on Facebook, just search Mr. Media Interviews. Thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for listening.
This is Patrick Fischler. I've appeared on TV shows such as Mad Men, Lost, and Weeds. I actually have a real career. So what the heck am I doing on Mr. Media Radio with Bob Andelman? Somebody get my agent on the phone right now.